only able to listen to a few devotees, and I must say, it's a fantastic idea. I hope that we continue with this every year. In fact, next year will be a good idea if we include the youth and get them to give their realizations. Like when I did last year, I have to share a few personal realizations before I begin. Last year, when I, together with the devotees, dived straight into the nectar of instruction, and when I was preparing for this class, it made me realize how important it is to constantly study our scriptures and look at it, because by doing so, we become so involved. It's like sometimes we are so busy in our lives, we have time for every other thing, but we don't give our studies of the Vedic scriptures the attention it needs. And sometimes when we have to prepare for classes like this, I find personally for myself, it sort of forces me to study more. And when I'm doing it, I feel so enlivened, so enthused. In fact, that's all I can think of in the days before and even after. So thank you so much. And I just want to say that I think every devotee in our yatra should get a chance, whether it is in Bengali or English, everyone should get a chance to share their realizations. Today, the topic that I chose is called the demons in Vrindavan Leela, in Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan Leela. I was mulling over what to talk about. I listened to a few devotees and they were talking about different aspects of Krishna's pastimes. And this aspect of Krishna's pastimes is something that is very close to my heart, because I still remember many, many years ago, I attended a seminar by Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj. He, in fact, wrote a book on this, Demons in Vrindavan Leela. And in this book, Maharaj, he elaborates on Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's writings about the demons that Krishna kills. And I was just so intrigued and awestruck, and it was something that I always wanted to share with devotees. So today I will be delving into it. I wouldn't be talking too much about it, just one specific demon and the pastimes around that. So I want to just give a brief introduction. In his Chaitanya, Sri Chaitanya Shikshamrita, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has explained that when Krishna kills these different demons in Vrindavan, each of these demons represents a main obstacle or an anartha that is facing an aspiring devotee. And when I first heard about it, I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. When I was new to Krishna consciousness, this was just something that Krishna did. In Vrindavan, he killed all the demons, and that was just the pastimes. And I would read them and say, oh my gosh, Krishna is so great. He's the Supreme Lord. And then I come to find out that there's a whole different side of it, that is just the first layer of it, that under the surface, there's a more figurative, deeper meaning. And for me, it was something that just blew my mind. So that's why I like reading and discussing about this. So I'm glad I got the opportunity today to share my realizations. And at the end of this talk or this presentation, I would really appreciate if each one of you could also share with me what you think about it and what realizations you have. And it is mentioned that if by Krishna's grace, these demons that show itself in many ways in our heart, if these demons can be killed, then that is the only way that the aspiring devotee can advance very rapidly in spiritual life. I will quickly just mention a few of the demons, not too many of them, just a few. And I'll just tell you a bit about the few, the anarthas they represent. The first demon is Putana. Putana is said to represent the pseudo or the false guru. Then it's Shakatasura or the cart demon. Trinavarta, the whirlwind demon. He represents the false pride that comes from material scholarship. That means when somebody is very learned, they've studied a lot, and they come up with their own like bogus philosophies in life. So this demon represents how puffed up a person becomes. And since this is Kartik Mass, we know that Nala Kuvara and Manigreva, the twin Arjuna trees, they were saved and delivered by Krishna. They represent arrogant pride because their father was Kuvera, and they had this puffed up pride that we are part of the aristocracy. We are so puffed up. They were so mad in their wealth. So their deliverance represents these anarthas. Then Bakasura, the duck or stork demon. This demon represents duplicity, deceptiveness, and all kinds of false behaviors. The next is the snake demon, Agasura. He represents cruelty and violence. The ass demon, Denakasura, represents ignorance of spiritual knowledge and having gross material intelligence. Kaliya, or Krishna chastising, dancing on the hoods of Kaliya. Kaliya represents brutality. That means being very cruel or having a lot of physical violence, or betraying of trust, being treacherous. Pralambasura, he represents having lusty desires or just trying to have lots of personal gain or personal honor. So you can see just by hearing through these that each one of these anarthas represents some obstacle or some hindrance that we have in our lives, and these prevent us from advancing. So our sincere and humble prayer is, when we read these pastimes, to always pray to Krishna to make sure that he helps us destroy them. I have chosen to focus on the second demon that Krishna came into contact with, and this is the Sakatasura or Shakatasura, the cart demon. Now you may ask, there's so many demons, what made me choose this? I can say when I was studying and reading up about all the anarthas that Sakatasura represents, it immediately felt so close to me, because I was like, oh, this is what I experienced. This is me. This is the anartha these are the anarthas that I have to be working on in my life. So that's why I'm choosing just to focus on this demon and how Krishna kills him and what's the realizations behind this. If you look at Krishna's pastimes, he kills this demon when he was barely just 3 months of age. And around his young age, when he was just born to being a couple of months old, most of the demons, according to the 10th canto of Bhagavatam, most of the demons that Krishna runs into and kills, all happen inside of his house, like Putana that enters his house, or around his house, which is very interesting. And only later, as Krishna gets older, then we look at demons like Kasi demon, Bakasura, Agasura. All of them come to Krishna when he is outside, when he's in the forest, he's playing with his cows and the cowherd boys. And we all know that Kamsa was the one to send all these demons to attack Krishna. Sakatasura comes not inside the house, but next to the house. Shakata or Sakata means cart, and Asura means demon. So he's the demon that comes in a hand cart. And just to give you the brief pastime, and I'll read a little bit from Krishna book about that. The background is when Krishna was 3 months old, he had turned on his side for the first time. And we know that during, like when a child is born, from the time a child is like before conception, right till the child grows up. There's so many ceremonies that have to be followed. And this was one such ceremony where they had to, when Krishna turned, it's called the Uttana Ceremony. The first time that Krishna turns on his side and he's sort of like just starting to move, when Mother Yasoda noticed this, she brought it to the attention of Nanda Baba and they arranged a festival. And I was pleased to read that there were some festivals that Nanda Maharaj took under his care to arrange. And there were also many festivals that Mother Yasoda planned. And this was one such festival that she planned. She was putting everything together. So all the Brijvasis were invited. Everyone was asked to come. And when they celebrated this, this big festival of Krishna, being able to turn on his side, then lots of gifts. Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yasoda were able to give out lots of gifts. And I'm going to just share with you something I read by Radhanath Maharaj. And Maharaj makes this comment. He says that according to this pastime, the more we give, the more gifts we give, the greater blessings we receive. And Maharaj said that when Krishna sees that we are doing something special for devotees around us, devotees that he loves, then he blesses us infinitely. So I feel that is such a good realization. And even last year when we were looking at the nectar of instruction, we looked at the loving exchanges and we looked at how important it was to always give gifts and also receive gifts. But we can see that we learn so much from looking at how Mother Yasoda and Nanda Maharaj conducted themselves. I'm going to quickly read a bit from Srila Prabhupada's Krishna book about the story of Sakatasura. So if you would just bear with me and listen through it, if you haven't heard this before. So this is straight from the Krishna book. When listening to the chanting of the Vedic hymns, the child appeared to be falling asleep. And therefore Mother Yasoda very silently laid him down under the cart. Being engaged in receiving all the friends, relatives, and residents of Vrindavan on that holy occasion, she forgot to feed the child milk. He was crying, being hungry, but Mother Yasoda could not hear him cry because of the various noises. So like a good hostess, she was taking care of all the guests. But you know Krishna, he wanted his mother right there and then, and he was impatient. So what did he do? So he lifted his legs and began to kick his lotus feet, just like an ordinary child. Baby Krishna had been placed underneath a hand-driven cart. And while he was kicking his legs, he accidentally touched the wheel of the cart and it collapsed. Various kinds of utensils and brass and metal dishes had been piled up in the handcart, and they all fell down with a great noise. The wheel of the cart separated from the axle, and the spokes of the wheel were all broken and scattered hither and thither. Mother Yasoda and all the gopis, as well as Maharaj Nanda and the cowherd boys, were astonished as how the cart could have collapsed by itself. All the men and women who were assembled for the holy function crowded around and began to suggest how the cart may have collapsed. No one could ascertain the cause, but some small children who were entrusted to play with baby Krishna informed the crowd that it was due to Krishna striking his feet against the wheel. They assured the crowd that they had seen it happen with their own eyes, and they strongly asserted the point. Some were listening to the statements of the small children, but others said, "How can you believe the statements of these children?" The cowherd men and women could not understand that the all-powerful personality of Godhead was lying there as a baby and that he could do anything. Both the possible and impossible were in his power. So here, just that brief reading from the Krishna book, we see that this was just a pastime to teach us so many lessons. So after this Putana incident, the previous demon that Krishna had killed, Mother Yasoda and Nanda Maharaj had assumed that this was just a one-time event. They didn't realize that there were going to be many, many demons to follow. In fact, when when Nanda Maharaj had gone to pay his taxes, Vasudev had warned him. He said, you should go back quickly to Vrindavan because something inauspicious may happen. So he had received that warning, but still they did not take heed to that. So what had happened was Sakatasura had entered the cart, and this was his plan. His plan was to cause the cart to fall and kill Krishna in the process. But we know that the demon had his plan, but Krishna as the Supreme Lord had his own plan. In the same way, we can think in our lives, we may have our own plans, we may plan ahead, we may have everything planned in such details, but we have to also realize that I am not the doer, that Krishna is in control of my life, that Krishna takes charge. So in that way, that's the connection that I see. And the very thing, what struck me was the very thing that Sakatasura tried to use to kill Krishna, the hand cart, was the very same hand cart that killed him. And we even see in the Mahabharata, like when Virochan was sent to burn the house of Lak, burn it on fire and kill the Pandavas, we see that that very house that he tried to burn the Pandavas in it, that he ended up being burnt in that very same house. So that also teaches us that these demons were taught so many lessons by Krishna. So the very weapon that is used to attack Krishna or his devotees, in many a times, that same weapon is turned around and used to kill the demon. So Krishna's leg hit the cart and the cart exploded, it blew apart. Sakatasura's plan was he wanted the cart to implode. He wanted it to collapse inside of itself so that Krishna was under the cart and Krishna was going to fall, just be crushed when the cart collapsed. But unfortunately, with just a gentle blow of his foot, Krishna was able to break. The whole cart did not implode, it exploded. And all of the parts, including the vessels, everything just scattered here and there. And everything happened so quickly that even this demon had no opportunity. He had no chance to escape. He could not save his life. So his body shattered and he fell down dead. And therefore, all the Brijvasis couldn't believe this. And they were so relieved. Mother Yasoda was so relieved that she immediately grabbed Krishna and she began, she put him to her breast. Just a few things I want to share with you about this pastime. That, let me just read about it. That this actual demon, Sakatasura, he represents, and I should have got to it earlier, but let me look at it now. He represents a load-carrying mentality. He represents all of our bad habits, our old bad habits and our new bad habits, habits that we have accumulated from past lives and even from this life itself. Shakatasura, or the handcart demon, also represents dullness, our false pride, being lethargic. And Krishna kicks away all of these anarthas, all of these obstacles, like he just kicks the handcart. According to the Garga Samhita, some say that, according to the Garga Samhita, it is said that Sakatasura had a body of air. Some say he was a ghost. He tried to make the cart fall on Krishna's head. Now, who was he and what was this pastime that he has, that he had to share this with Krishna? In his previous life, he was a demon. He was a son of Hiranyaksha, a son named Utkacha. He had gone to the hermitage of Lomasa Muni, and he was breaking down some trees there. Therefore, he was cursed to become bodiless because he had a huge body. So he was cursed by this Muni that in your next life, you will be born without a body. Your body will be made out of air, or you would be a ghost. So Utkacha fell at the feet of the Muni and he begged for mercy. And the Muni told him that, don't worry, in the next Manvantara, you would be, when you take this form as a demon, then the foot of the Lord will touch you and you will be liberated. You will be personally saved by Krishna. So in that way, what we have to think of is that, like Krishna killed this demon, we have to, with just a kick of his feet, our humble prayer has to be, please Krishna, like you kicked this demon and delivered him, in the same way, please kick out my bad habits. Please kick out these habits of lethargy and dullness and false pride. What happens to Utkacha is that he gets liberated. And one interesting point is Krishna uses these bodies. If not, Utkacha was one of the only demons who had an inanimate, like he goes into the cart. But mostly for the other demons, Krishna, these demons get into the bodies of innocent animals, and Krishna liberates the demons by killing them in that way. And then the Gopas come together, they help to set everything. Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yasoda get so happy to see that Krishna is finally, he's safe and he's fine. And they get the Brahmanas to recite many prayers and to do many rituals. And even an Abhishek ceremony is performed. Nanda Maharaj, just to show blessings, he also gives many cows in charity to the Brahmanas. One of the things that we have to look at is just so effortlessly Krishna is able to, perform these pastimes. I want to now spend some time getting more into what this demon represents and how, as aspiring and practicing devotees, we can use this example of the demon to improve our sadhana, to improve our spiritual life. So basically, lethargy, according to the Oxford Dictionary, means a lack of energy or a lack of enthusiasm, not being enthusiastic, a state of weariness. We have diminished, low energy. We have low mental capacity or not being motivated. So we need to overcome these feelings. We need to overcome this lack of motivation, this apathy. Sometimes as devotees, we don't want to do so many things. Everything becomes such a struggle. So this Sakatasura demon, he represents those anarthas. He represents those qualities that I'm sure from time to time that each one of us has struggles with. And basically, if we look at it, our nature, the soul is very active, very energetic, and therefore being lethargic, being apathetic, not having motivation, not having enthusiasm is so contrary to the spirit soul. Therefore, sometimes we don't feel ourselves when we feel like this. Therefore, our humble prayer should be to constantly work on this and improve ourselves. When we become passive, we generally think, oh, for example, whatever's happening, just let it happen. I don't want to get involved in anything, or I don't want to do anything. Sometimes we have an attitude like, I don't care about anything. So this is a very dangerous mentality to have. And it's something that pulls us down in our spirituality. It doesn't pick us up. And I want to share with you, I listen a lot to a devotee. His name is Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. And one of these things he said stuck in my head. He says, these people that function in the three modes, the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance, can be summed up in the following ways. He says, some people make things happen, whereas some people watch things happen. And then some people wonder what happened. So he goes on to say that we have to figure out which one we want to be. Do we want to be the people that make things happen? And as practicing devotees, that should be our motto. We have to be go-getters, especially here in our yatra. We have such a fantastic community. I was just talking to Gorangi recently, and we were both, and I know this class is supposed to be about Krishna's Leela, but I'm going to be a little different today because I like to look at the practicality of everything and how all of this works in our devotee life. And I know she's listening, and I hope she doesn't mind me sharing, but she was just being so grateful for having grown up in New Orleans. And I think all of our devotees here deserve credit for this, because each and every one of you has made a deep impression on her life. And now that she has left New Orleans to go to grad school, she shared with me how much growing up in New Orleans has shaped her devotional life and who she is today. And I think we have a beautiful, very fixed up congregation. So I don't think too many of us have this problem. I think we all make things happen. So we have to always do that. We always have to make things happen. We shouldn't be the people that are in the mode of passion that just watch things happen, that maybe watch other devotees do all these services and we just, don't participate. We have to jump right in, even if we don't know too much about it, even if we're not good in that service. Like, I want to just share from you, I just spent a few hours today helping all these wonderful Matajis make these Tulsi garlands for Radhakanta for tomorrow. And I was watching them. And even though I'm not good at like they are, because they have so much of experience in Mayapur, but I thought, no, it is something that I will learn and just, improve as the time goes by. Or do we want to be the kind of devotee that just sits back and watches everything happen? That devotee is somebody we don't want to be, because they are passive. That's a huge obstacle. I think having this passive mentality and watching life go by and devotees just get involved in things and we sit back and just look at them, I think that's most detrimental to our spiritual life. And I just want to quote from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.10. This talks a little bit about the age of Kali and how our innate nature, what it is, and how it is such a struggle to overcome this nature. So this is what the verse says. Prayena alpa yusa sabhya kalav asmin yuge jana manda sumanda matayo manda bhagyahi upadruta. O learned one, in this iron age of Kali, men have but short lives. They are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. So the part about the laziness was something that struck me in my mind, was like, it's so part of our mentalities. It's something that we have to every day make ourselves active. And yes, people are active, but are they active doing the right thing? Or are they just very active in just running around, gratifying their senses? So we have to look at how active are we? Are we active in the productive sense to make ourselves spiritually stronger? Or are we just active to become spiritually successful? One of the things I have realized when reading about this pastime as well is that we should never take our spiritual lives for granted. We should never be, that's where the lethargy and passivity comes into play. And it brings to mind an example that Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj says, and he talks about that, do you know that those people that miss the train are the ones that stay right next to the train station? Now you may say, oh my gosh, how come? They're right next to the train station. How are they the ones that miss the train? because they take it for granted. They are living right next to the station. They're like, oh, when the train gets here, then I'm right next to it. I will just get to on the train. But 9 times out of 10, they are the ones that miss the train. So what is so significant about this analogy? It's that sometimes we take our spirituality for granted. We think, oh, I live here. Oh, I'm a devotee. It's always going to be there. I can just go do service anytime, whenever I feel like it. But sometimes when we keep putting off to another day what we can do today, we find that we end up not doing anything. As practicing devotees, we have to always remind ourselves that we should never be lethargic. We should never put off what we can do right now or today. And I had this realization a while back, today, like, this is the perfect time. Tomorrow we start the last 5 days of Kartik, the holy period of Bhishma Panchak. This is something that we can all just, after this class, think to ourselves, okay, what can I do over the next 5 days? What can I take, as if I haven't done as much because of so many different responsibilities, at least for the next 5 days, I can commit to something, however small it is. I can take that pledge for the next 5 days and do something. We can start reading, we can do so many services we can do now and not put off to a later date. In fact, we got the New Year that's approaching, and in the Western world, many people make New Year's resolutions, so we can do that. One of the things that I also want to talk about is, and I can see that we just have another 30 minutes. In all of this, we are not in this alone. I think I cannot stress enough how important devotee association is. This association of devotees, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that for the devotee to be motivated, to be energetic in their seva, we need like-minded association. We need to feel understood. We need to share what's in our hearts with others around us. We need to share, we need to do seva together, and that just inspires us. And this lethargy that we have, this, I should say, laziness that we have to commit to our spirituality, by being in devotee association, it turns into energy. It encourages us and engages us so that we don't have to be like this demon Sakatasura. We don't have to have this dull mentality. And encouraging each other, or management can encourage us. And these are some of the things that they should say, or we should say to our devotee friends. And by encouraging them, we should say, you have come so far, that is fantastic, that is really good. Or for example, but we should not stop there. We should also at the same time encourage, but also engage. And when we engage them, we should go one step further and say, you have come so far, but how can you move on? What is the next step? What should you do next? So basically, these two things go together, to encourage each other and also engage each other. Both go hand in hand. If devotees are only encouraged, yes, they feel happy in, they feel happy in that moment. They feel good that, oh, I'm encouraged to do something, but they'll only stay where they are. They won't move on. But if you engage them, if you say, okay, you're doing this and this and this, what's your next seva? What do you have planned for next? How can you make this better? What's your next step? So that engagement is what takes them to the next level. And to tie all of this in together, that keeps the devotee on his toes. And he does not fall into that lethargic or lazy or dull mood. Also, one other quick thing, not only do we have a responsibility to each other as practicing devotees, we also have to take responsibility for connecting other people to Krishna. We need to also look at outside of our devotee community and help others that are so lethargic in their material 9-to-5 lives, and make and fan that spark and make them spiritually energetic. When it comes to our seva, to make sure that we are not dull, and I'm going to constantly talk about this point because this is what the hand cart or Sakatasura demon represents. We also have to be very committed to our service and also emotionally involved, and we have to be personally committed. And I think New Orleans allows us to do that, because when we take a seva here, I've noticed that devotees just get very attached to their service and they love doing it. So I don't think we have too much of a problem with that. We generally love what we do. We may also wonder, and I wanted to quickly bring this up, that it begs the question that if a devotee is lethargic, what if that is not really lethargic or lethargy? What if they are genuinely like tired, exhausted, mentally they need to rest? So I think as devotees, we have to know the difference. What is lethargy and what is exhaustion? So if you have not slept well, if you have gone late to bed, if you are not able to get up and chant your rounds and do your puja and do all of that, then you have to reassess your situation and you have to make sure that you take care of your body. Srila Prabhupada said that one of the things we have to do firstly is, our body doesn't belong to us, it belongs to Krishna. That's our first service we have to do. We have to start off by taking care of this body. And therefore, when we take care of this body, we can do our service better. So we have to make sure that we don't want to work for the body. We don't want to work against the body by pushing the body too hard, and then we become too fatigued, too mentally exhausted. We can't do our service anymore. We don't want to work for the body and whatever the body wants, like just be a slave to the body's needs. We want to work, I should say, with the body. Like, know the body, this is just an instrument and I have to take care of it and work with the body. And this verse comes to mind, and I'm going to just read it. It's from Bhagavad-Gita, chapter 6, verse 17. Yuktahara viharasya yukta chestasya karmasu yukta swapnava bodhasya yogo bhavati dukhaha. You can see I'm not so good with verses, but this is what it means. He who is temperate in his habit of eating, sleeping, working, and recreation can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. And in his purport, Srila Prabhupada says that one who is regulated, if they eat just the right amount, not too much, not too little, if they sleep just the right amount, not too much, not too little, then this just being regulated, Srila Prabhupada says that for this practicing devotee, there will be no misery in his life. Sometimes also it begs the question that we may say, oh, we have mental exhaustion, oh, I'm just so tired, I cannot do any service. But sometimes we may find ourselves, if somebody shows us something on TV, or if there's something happening on social media or latest movie, we notice that all of a sudden that tiredness that we had to do that spiritual seva just vanishes. And then we get so involved in the movie, we get so involved in all that. So sometimes we have to be truthful to ourselves. Is it really like exhaustion, or is it just that we have to make a pledge and be more committed to our service? And I'm going to bring up again about devotee inspiration. We have to find someone that inspires us. We have wonderful devotees in our yatra. We can look up to every one of them. And I know there's just a few of you today, so I'm sure this is, I hope I can share this. So many devotees inspire me. And if I forget to mention your name, please forgive me. But whenever I need inspiration and I look at the devotees around me, and from the top of my head, I'm just gonna mention them, whoever comes to mind. I'm looking at first Shraddhadev Prabhu. He gets in at any time. If there's nobody to cook, he's always cooking. It's like all the time he's doing service. And then we look at Pranath Prabhu. He's just constantly just doing one service or the other. And whenever you need him, it's always just Krishna in the center of his lives. And then look at all these wonderful Matajis that, I always wonder, oh my gosh, they have houses to take care of, families, children to take care of. And yes, look at them today. They spent the whole day at the temple. So sometimes, and this is my personal realization, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to share with you. When I look at them, I think, oh my gosh, they are such an inspiration. I look at like Karunika Mataji that comes early for Mangalarti, gets up the deities, has a family to take care, but still she makes that her priority. I look at Adi Satvagi Mataji, that everything is around how to please Radhakanta, please all the devotees, and just take care of them. And I look at Ranganath Prabhu, that he's always washing the dishes and taking care and always running around like serving other devotees. So thank you so much to all of these devotees. You have, and so many other devotees. Everyone does his share and they do their part. And if I have failed to mention you, just know that I appreciate each and every one of you. You provide me the inspiration. You help me in my life overcome the dullness and lethargy that I have to, constantly fight. I have a few minutes more, so let me see what else I want to share. When we fight these demons, and we have to know that we have to be very truthful. We have to, it's like being introspective. We have to look within ourselves. I look at it as confronting the demons in my heart. I have to be open and honest. It takes a lot of courage. It's not something, maybe if we're not comfortable to share with other devotees, we can share the anarthas that we struggle with our own families and work towards how to get rid of them. But we have to face these realities, because only then can we move the spiritual ladder. Only then can we become better devotees. And I want to stress this point, that we should never forget that Krishna he's always there for us. We need to always remember that Krishna loves us, that it's perfectly normal to admit that we have faults. I think one of the biggest issues we have is that we hate to admit that we have faults, that we are just as fallible as any other person around us. And when we admit that we have faults, when we admit that these demons are present in our hearts, I think that's when our false ego takes a back seat. I think that's when we realize that we also have to work with each other as devotees in our yatra to support each other and not pull each other down. And I'm going to share one quick example. Once when Radhanath Maharaj was on a yatra, I believe it may have been Jagannath Puri, the devotees would go into the ocean to take a bath. And Maharaj had warned these group of devotees that there's a rip tide, there's a strong current, and you should please not go out too much into the sea, because if you know about a rip tide, it can pull you in. And even the best of swimmers can drown in a rip tide. So it seems that one devotee, for whatever reason or the other, had gone to swim and he got into trouble. And when he got into trouble, what struck me was, when I was listening to this pastime, that all the devotees around him, they just grabbed each other's hands, they made themselves into a big, strong link, and then they grabbed this devotee and they pulled him out of the water and they pulled him out into safety. Now, what struck me was, at that moment, nobody was upset with him. They could have told him, who asked you to go into the water? Maharaj told you not to do it. Why did you go? So they did not mentally push him down. They saw that he was struggling. They saw that he was drowning. They saw that he had a need. And immediately they did the needful. They did the necessary. Similarly, as devotees, if we are struggling, we should not judge each other. We should not, because we all have the same issues. As long as we all have this material bodies, we all struggling with the same issues in our daily lives. So rather than pull each other down and being judgmental, we should rather join hands together and pull the persons or pull each other, those of us that are struggling. So this is just something I want to share with you. One other thing, and I'm almost done with the class, and then I'd like to hear your realizations, is another demon, another anartha that Shakatasura represents is the mentality of holding on to our bad habits. Like if we have a habit from maybe younger days, sometimes we're not even sure. These habits may even come from past lives. So, these habits are like demons in our minds. We have to make sure that we protect our bhakti, our devotional creeper, from these bad habits. We want to be a proprietor. We want to be a controller. We want to be the enjoyer. We don't want to give up these bad habits. And like Shakatasura, in some places it is said like he is a ghost. He comes into the cart. In the same way, these bad habits, after many lifetimes or many years, like a ghost, it comes back and it haunts us. So these bad habits are something, unless we pray to Krishna, unless we surrender to Krishna, we can never purify these bad habits. It will always pull us down. We will struggle with being selfish and being envious. That is the foundation or the root cause of our bad habits. And basically it wreaks havoc on our spiritual lives. And one quick point Srila Prabhupada makes is, he says, if we want to give up our bad habits, we have to replace it with good habits. So the good that we do gets rid of all the bad that we've done. And I just want to end off with 2 quick points because I have about 10 minutes more. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us such a simple, sublime, beautiful process. Taking prasad, associating with devotees, dancing in the kirtan, performing devotional service, hearing about Krishna's pastimes that we've been doing every month, this holy month of Kartik, chanting Krishna's holy names, going out on Sankirtan. We can purify our minds and our hearts, and we can be eternally joyful. And I just want to read one quick thing. And I have to give credit to Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And he says, the devotee, and this is from his Sri Chaitanya Shikshamrita, he says, quote, the devotee who worships the holy name should first petition the Lord for the strength to cast out all these unfavorable tendencies, and should pray thus before Lord Hari on a daily basis. By doing this regularly, the devotee's heart will eventually become purified. Sri Krishna has killed a number of demons which may arise in the kingdom of our hearts. So in order to destroy these problems, a devotee must cry very humbly before the Lord and admit defeat. Then the Lord will nullify all contaminations. So we have to give thanks to our previous acharyas by following in their footsteps, by reading all of their realizations, and by working towards getting rid of these anarthas. We can slowly and surely move towards not having any vanity, not having any pride, not being lethargic, not having a dull mind or dull consciousness. And I want to also just very quickly give thanks also to Pran Govinda Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. You have inspired so many of us in our yatra. And we hope that you continue to visit us. And even from far away, Alachua, you constantly motivate us and inspire us. Gopal Radhe Prabhu, none of this would be done without your help. You have also played such a tremendous role. You inspire the youth, you inspire the teenagers. You always sending us these messages without which we will not know which festival is when and what's happening. So we are in New Orleans, and like Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON, we are working like a well-oiled machine. Each and every devotee has some part to play. And I think finally, I just want to give thanks to all the devotees for welcoming me in this yatra when I came so many years ago. Even though I don't understand too much of the language and speak the language, but thank you so much for welcoming and taking my family to be part of this big community. I am eternally grateful to all of you, and I want to give thanks to Srila Prabhupada as well for allowing me to serve with all of you. And I don't have anything else to say. I really enjoyed doing this. I wish we could do more like this in the future. Maybe some of us, I can speak for myself, my brain is so dull that I get so caught up spending the best years of my life in my job at school that this real job that I have, I sometimes neglect. So please, devotees, let's work together and inspire each other. So thank you so much. Hare Krishna. If anyone would like to just share their realizations, we have another 7 minutes. If you have any questions, if you want to ask them.
Mataji, Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much for your so lovely discourse. And I have got one comment to make, and I've got one question. I won't take long time. The comment is, I really loved when you said that, laziness turns into enthusiasm. That is so good for me, because I'm a lazy person. I mean, like a hopeless. So that is a inspiration for me. And then I know you are a very, high level teacher. So, award winning, I would call it. So I have got a question. I remember you were mentioning Hayagriva and Manigrib. You categorize them as a demon. I mean, quality as demon. Is it due to their pride? Can you please explain a little bit why you have mentioned their name in the line of demonic creatures?
Yes, because see, they represent Nalakuvara and Manigriva. They actually represent, and I'm going to read straight off from Bhaktivinoda Thakur's his Sri Chaitanya Shikshamrita. He says that they represent arrogant pride from puffed up aristocracy rooted in madness for wealth. So basically, it's like being the sons of Kuvera. They took their position for granted. So in their past lives, when they were enjoying and when they were caught out and they were cursed, they just the girls around them, like cover themselves up, but these two didn't. They were just so, they thought so fully of themselves. Like they were so puffed up. They were so filled with pride and arrogance that they didn't even put their clothes on, and therefore they were cursed. Okay, you will be naked as trees, but Krishna will deliver you.
Right.
So does that answer your question? Does that make sense?
Yes, Mataji, but still I got just one doubt, because they come from Gandharva Loka and they are sons of Kubera, so they are equal to Deva, isn't it? Like the demigods. So, I mean, it is very important for me to remember, because, due to the characteristic, you can become a demon. So this is very important that you have mentioned their name. And now I'm trying to understand, before I realize the whole fact, I'm trying to understand why.
I think the lesson for us to learn is that no matter how high you are, even if you can be living in the heavenly planets, you can be Indra, you can be Brahma, you can be any demigod, that don't get too puffed up. Don't get swollen up with all this false pride, and take credit for all your achievements. I think always, even with these demigods and the sons of Kuvera, and even us lowly devotees, Krishna is trying to show us that we should always remember him and give credit to him for everything. And yes, I know sometimes when we're doing our service, it's all, I think, a question of false ego, because sometimes when we do service and we say, oh, Krishna is helping me, I'm not actually doing the service, Krishna is helping me. But sometimes, I know I can speak for myself here, sometimes if someone compliments me as a devotee, yes, sometimes I do feel, oh yeah, oh, this is me, yeah, I did this. There is a part of me that says that. So this is something now I have to work on. I have to realize that, hang on, Anandini, everything is Krishna's mercy. You are nothing without Krishna. So sometimes when that false ego wants to rear its ugly head, and I want to start getting proud and take some credit for something that is not something that I have done, I think that's where all of these anarthas come into place, that Krishna is keeping us in check, that all these anarthas that we have to work towards it. Yes, it is Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, all of them work together to make us who we are. But I think by constantly reading about these things, we will always keep our false ego in check. And also our devotee association. Who better to bring us down to size than our fellow devotees or our fellow family members? They are the ones that can always keep us in check. That's why it's important that we associate a lot with devotees, because they are the ones that will tell us where we are going wrong, and hopefully they are the ones that will cut us down to size when we start feeling that we are too holier than thou, or that we are better than everybody else. I think it also falls back to always being very humble, and giving credit to everyone else but ourselves. And also, we cannot be false when we do that. We have to be true, because if we are false, it doesn't last too long.
Very, very nice answer. Yes. Thank you so much. Somebody needs to remind us, I suppose. Like Srila Prabhupada says that, people who praise you, they are not really your friend. They are the enemies. But people who criticize you, they are the friends. I read it a few times, yes.
Yes. I think but we are fortunate here in New Orleans. We have each other. I think we just have to get to that stage now where we can also tell each other things to help our spirituality and not be offended by it.
Yes.
That's something
that is such a nice thing. Yes.
We have to work on, because sometimes our ego is such that if you tell me something about my seva, I'm going to tend to take it personally, you know. So we stop doing that. We have to say, maybe I have to look at, I'm doing this to please Krishna and not me. And maybe the person is helping me to serve Krishna better. So
Definitely.
We have to look at it that way.
Yes, thank you so much.
But thank you, Mataji. Thank you for constantly inspiring my daughter and all the young girls and all the devotees around.
Oh, no. That is their karma. I haven't done anything.
Please keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hare
Krishna. Is there anyone else that would want to share any realizations that they have? Or Gopal Radhe Prabhu, I think we passed our time. It's over to you if nobody else wants to share something.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mataji. That was wonderful. And in fact, I feel very, very grateful Prabhu introduced this. I see some hand raised also. But before that, I just wanted to say that this is like a trailer. Actually, in this month, what we are getting is like a trailer, and I can see like a whole movie coming out. Like especially, I saw Ananda Gopal Prabhu, how wonderfully he gave class about Gajendra Moksha, and I think that can be turned into a whole series. And I think similarly, this class can be just the beginning, and I would really like if you could come up and make one session each on each of the demons. That would be so wonderful. And we could have it over, because Prangan Prabhu also wants us to continue this. It's not just that during Kartik we do and then finish and then maybe next year. No. So maybe even if it is, we're going to plan out how it works. Maybe if it is going to be once a week class or something, but we would really like to have a lot of devotees, like especially you, if you can take on this topic only, and there's something else also, that will be really wonderful. So thank you very much. And also touching upon the point Mataji also put forward, that we have to be very careful even if we are the devotees. I think just a few days back, I don't know if I listened here or where did I hear, it was said about how Maharaj Jada Bharat, Maharaj Bharat, King Bharat in his life, before the deer, he was pure devotee, almost. But just because of a little discrepancy in his seva or thing, he had to take birth as a deer. So he had to fall down. So it doesn't matter whether we are demigods or what we are. If we are not attentive, then we have to, we can fall down. So we have to be very, very careful. And I really like your analogy of, people who live next to the train station always miss the train. And I remember I used to live right next to my school and I was always late. so that is that. So thank you very much. I see a few hands raised. Madhavi Shakti Mataji, and then after that Gaurangi. So first Madhavi Shakti Mataji. Very well.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavad Pranam.
Dandavad. Mataji, before you say anything, I just want to take this chance to tell you in front of all the few devotees that are here, that you have been a very, very big inspiration in my spirituality. From the first time I met you, and you can ask Gaurangi, I have, throughout my devotee life in New Orleans, you have never ceased to amaze me. When you were living here in the city, you would go to work, you would get up, cook for your deities, take care of your children, take care of your husband, stitch for the deities, make these awesome sweets and do all of that. In fact, last week when you were talking to me and telling me all the things that you made for Govardhan Puja, I was like, oh my gosh, this Mataji is all the way in Baton. And I didn't tell you that, but in my mind, I was like, Mataji from Baton Rouge, she made all these things and then she brought it for Krishna. So thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. You are a big inspiration. Every time I'm tired or I think I have too much on my plate, I just have to think about you and how much you tirelessly serve the Lord. And I literally can just jump off my chair and start doing service. So thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You are saying more and more that I cannot do. I'm not doing that much. But today just I thank you for this inspiring class. It really helped me to realize the unorthodox and demons in me and how I can get rid of them by constant and conscious effort to serve Lord Krishna and his devotees. And also I want to share something I learned from you. Personally, when I see you or when I talk to you or when I listen to you, I always remember I always remember Bhakti Charu Guru Maharaj. How you served your Guru Maharaj. Always I saw you serving your Guru Maharaj with your full devotion and patience. Also, I want to thank you for giving me the chance to serve many times Bhakti Sar Guru Maharaj. And I will always remember your mercy upon me. Thank you.
Mataji, thank you. I think I have,
Bless me.
I think I had no part to play. It was just my Guru Maharaj's mercy and you and your Prabhu's desire. Like when you all cooked him that Bengali feast, he loved it. He loved all of the items. So just know that you and your Prabhuji, you all really pleased him because we were here, we could see his reaction. He couldn't get over. This was like authentic Bangladeshi prasad that he was eating and he loved it. So thank you so much. It was your desire to serve him and it was his mercy, his reciprocation to you and your Prabhuji. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Mataji. And
thank you.
Always you gave me sons like elder sister. All the time I
Thank you, Mataji.
see love you, I like you like that, like sister.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Yes, I think we have next Gorangi.
Hare Krishna. I won't be too long. I know we're going over time, but I just wanted to say, like my mom said about appreciating our community. I even told Shraddha Prabhu when I moved after, and my mom as well, and some of my friends that when I moved, I realized what a special community we have. And for Govardhan Puja and for Diwali, I actually spent some time with the devotees in Detroit. And I got to meet Tirthapat Prabhu, who's also a Bengali devotee. And when I told him that I was from New Orleans, he started just naming everyone he knew. He was like, oh yeah, I know Gadadhar Prabhu, I know Ishar Prabhu, and so many of the devotees there. And I just felt so much more connected to here. And immediately I was like, oh, here's a Bengali Prabhu that knows everyone from my hometown. And I just felt so appreciative. Like my mom was saying, there's like people that make things happen and then people that watch things happen. And like my mom said as well, like I am so appreciative of the community I grew up in because I feel like it really molded who I am as a devotee because we were allowed to make things happen. And I'm so grateful for that as well. And yeah, like my mom was saying about Madhu Shakti Mataji as well. Whenever I meet someone and I talk to them about Bengali Prasad, I think I must have said this instance like maybe I can't even count how many times, but I always tell them that. I said, yeah, you know, we have Bengali prasads, you know, my friend Vishnupriya's mom, she once cooked like 20 different items for one day. And they're all just so amazed by that. So I just wanted to appreciate our community so much. Being away really showed me that we have one of the most special communities in the United States, definitely. And I enjoyed this lecture so much, especially since, I mean, we all have issues with lethargy and just staying motivated. And the point my mom said about realizing that that Krishna loves us, it reminded me of, I was listening to a lecture by Rambaro Mataji, and she had said that, you know, she had talked about the Christian community and how they always emphasize so much, like God loves you, Jesus loves you, you know, but in ISKCON, we emphasize so much that we should develop love for Krishna, but we a lot of the times underemphasize the other part, that Krishna loves us so much. So I think that all of the issues that my mom was talking about, the first step is that realization or awareness that we have faults. And then to just realize that, you know, equally as we're trying to love Krishna, that Krishna loves us back as well. So I feel like I found the first step to helping me with a lot of problems. So thank you, and thank the whole community so much.
Very well. Thank you so much, Gaurangi. We miss you all too, especially all of us. We miss you very much in our program, and we definitely want you to feel a part of our community, even though, you know, you're away. And so definitely we will be calling upon you. I know with your tight schedule, still we'll be calling upon you for whatever service you can do online. And I hope to see you more and more. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, I'm
And
sorry. I just want to say,
yes,
I'm very quick. I just want to end up with this. I just want to give thanks to just a few other devotees that I see that are online. I want to thank, and I also am totally also so inspired by them. I want to thank Ishwar Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Every time I need cake dropped off at the temple and I'm too lazy to drive all the way and drop it off there, or just come back from school, all I have to do is just call you. And I just say, you always tell me, Mataji, I'll always take the cake for you to the temple. So thank you so much for that, for everything that you do for our devotees. Thank you. Thank you to Pracheta Prabhu for taking such good care of the youth, for being the principal of the Sunday school, for doing so much for them. Thank you for being our head pujari and doing all of the deity seva like they would do in Mayapur. On behalf of our community, I want to thank you wholeheartedly, and your wife for taking all of that in your care. I want to thank Palaknitai Prabhu. Prabhu, even though you have 3 young kids, you always make the time for the temple. You come and dress the deities once a week. You're always coming and cooking for the deities. So thank you so very much. Thank you, Devya Ratna Prabhu. You are always there. You, whether it's to do decor or any other things, you're always just there to help us. So thank you all so much. And if I've missed anyone out, I just want to thank everyone. So thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Mataji.
Yes.
And I think we'll end here, but I just want to not end without getting a little blessings and reflection from Pran Govinda Prabhu. Is he still here? Yes. Pran Govinda Prabhu, please, we would like your words of encouragement for Mataji and blessings especially. Haribol.
Yes,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna. This is wonderful. I heard about you, Mataji, but now I directly heard. Oh, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. We would like to see you also, Prabhu. Darshana Pavitra Karo Ekbar Bon.
No, that's not me. Just, but what I appreciate that many things, but I won't go with those. But very nice point: lethargy versus exhaustion, juktahara, it immediately triggers me, like Prabhupada says, too much sleep is lazy, too little sleep is crazy, don't be lazy or crazy. It was very nice the way you put it together. And also you mentioned about very important things that recently I was talking with some other devotee also for our community here in Alachua. I would like to maybe in future, maybe near future, I would like to have actually some core devotee who understand the central aim that you actually, I would say, injected today in your session, that upliftment of the consciousness of the target audience. This is what my main things. And we are actually, I see in our community in Alachua, Gopal Radhe Prabhu, when he was visiting, he also came to Mangalarti. Morning program from 4 to 9. It's a big deal here. And Mangalarti some days like packed, literally. They are not young, mostly Prabhupada's disciple, but their age, because we have that central aim, how to uplift the consciousness of target audience. Even in the announcement, we say how to pray so their consciousness can stay fixed to the lotus feet of Prabhupada. The objective, as you are indirectly gave also with the Shakadasura's example very nicely. I think it will be a good idea in New Orleans to actually literally build an appropriate preaching strategy amongst us, not necessarily outside. Because if we know some of the principle, like what the audience are and what are the commitment they have developed, or maybe none, or maybe some, what are the help, education, or inspiration other they need, and how to encourage them to come to that next level. This way also, of course, joyfully encouraging them to make more regulated, more commitment. So in other words, ultimately bring them to the committed group. And then they will be looking forward to become the core member of our movement. And so I really appreciate your vision, the angle you took to present today. I am going to ask Shraddha Prabhu, Gopaladev Prabhu also to make you also to keep on inspiring, not just inspiration, but in a practical way, how to always look for upliftment to the next level in a way that somebody can assess their service, their consciousness where they are. You know how, as you mentioned, I had that feeling that, oh, there's a temple. Instead of saying our temple, my temple, the possessiveness that it's in, like we always say in my house, like my son, my daughter, as you said, my daughter, Gorang, like that. So you have some possessiveness, but that possessiveness comes from the affection, the inner relationship. So that kind of like motive, then it will be like more of a New Orleans devotee, as you said, they are actually very lovely, very respectful, very energetic. Just need little bit more of a help ourselves also. Then it will become probably a very good example. Very good example. So I appreciate that. You already started hinting and you are going. I think if we do this more, if you give also more inspiration, that angle, I think it will be wonderful. So thank you for giving such a wonderful presentation.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, I'm sorry, Prabhu. I thought you unmuted by mistake. So please unmute again, Deepratna Prabhu.
I want to mention one thing. Actually, I'm not qualified to say that, but I think I should tell, and please forgive me, everybody, that yesterday, Pran Govinda Prabhu, you mentioned that we need to know the philosophy. We only hear the history and do bhakti. You explained very nicely. That was actually really hard to my heart. And as I know why everybody telling the Mataji do good. Her spiritual life is too strong, as I know, because she and her husband study a lot. And some other devotee in our community, they study a lot, but I cannot do like that. But I think we need to encourage whole community to study. If it's no study, that whatever you said yesterday, if we don't know the philosophy, that is called, and we do bhakti, that is called like blind bhakti. Bangla called andho bishwas, bandho bhakti. And that is not still long. Anytime we can sleep. So that's why I request all of you, those who are our leading position. So please encourage us and help us to do study and keep doing like this, please. That's my request. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Deepratna Prabhu. That was very nice.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so I think we will end our session here. Tomorrow we have wonderful festival. Tomorrow is Uttana Ekadasi, first day of Bhishma Panchak. We have wonderful program at the temple starting at 2 o'clock. I want all devotees to please note, it's starting at 2 o'clock. And that is because we want, Shradha Prabhu especially requests and wants all the devotees to please come and chant together. So Ekadasi is a wonderful day. The Lord is waking up after sleeping for 4 months. So please, all the devotees, we will come and we will have chanting, community chanting for 1 hour. And after that, 3 o'clock, we will go on Harinam. His Holiness Mahavishnu Swami Maharaj is here. He's a wonderful Sankirtan leader. And tomorrow we'll have the opportunity to assist him in doing Sankirtan to please Srila Prabhupada. So please be here at the temple, 2 o'clock. And then following that, we have Harinam and then evening program, wonderful evening program with Damodar Ashtakam, Sandhya Arati, Gopi Geet, and prasadam for everybody. So please, I request everybody to make out their time. I know everybody has busy schedule and everything. Set it up so that you can be free by 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And from 2 o'clock onwards, we can all engage in pleasing Sri Sri Radha Radhakanta. So without taking any more of your time, thank you so much for joining and taking part in this Kartik Harikatha festival. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare